MAGA is extremely divided right now as Israel and Iran are engaged in war, as we've been covering. But specifically, the Trump component of this all is that he, as you remember, promised over and over and over and over and over and over again that he was going to be the great peace president. And he would say that if you elect Kamala, or before that, if you elect sleepy, crooked Joe Biden, then they are going to drag us into World War III. And so in this situation where a lot of his followers bought into that notion, I didn't think Trump was going to be better for peace globally, but they bought into it. They're now distraught and confused and angry. And to their credit, I mean, they're willing to, some of them levy criticisms at Trump. And now Trump's responded, and he took a shot at Tucker Carlson because of what Carlson's been saying. Let me give you some context, and I'll show you what Trump said. First, the type of things that we're hearing from Tucker are as follows.
I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person.
Sorry, I can't even. This is what's interesting is, for example, Tucker will go, I don't want us to be at all-out war with Iran. And I'm thinking, oh, me neither. Look at that. But then you remember what's tough about analyzing the situation and the different criticisms coming from different people is in many cases we're dealing with just all bad actors. Just so many. Tucker and Marjorie are now saying that Trump shouldn't drag us into a war with Iran. And so then some of the substantiations we have to really analyze, but then you could agree with the overlying point and have to look past the utter annoyance of, I think Trump's a really kind and humane person. Really, Tucker? Kind and humane? Yes.
I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying this.
What do you mean by that? That's coming from you. That's
you get. Look, I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush personally. I still see Bush sometimes, and of course, he hates me, and he does because I criticized him on Iraq, and that war is the sum total, from a historical perspective, of his administration. But I knew him, and he had all kinds of plans for the things that he wanted to do. But once domestically, right, to improve the country. Right. And you may agree or disagree, but in his mind, he wasn't just about the invasion of Iraq in March of 2000.
No. He was going to redo Social Security.
100%,
he had all types of. He was going to take care of the entitlements issue.
And he really thought it was going to work.
Yep.
And you could laugh at that or whatever, but the point is, the second you get enmeshed in a real war, not a fake, let's go bomb the villagers and declare success, though we don't even have a good track record. Why are the Houthis still there? There's a whole other question, right, which is how prepared is the U.S. military for a real conflict? And the answer is totally unprepared. Scary unprepared. I don't think people understand that. But anyway, the only reason I'm saying any of this is because I really, really care.
Okay. As with everything, we're going to have fun in the face of not fun topics, but he always comes off as someone imitating somebody with feelings. Watching someone else be genuine, he goes, obviously, Trump is just a good guy. And I've hung out with Bush. I've kissed Bush. I know him. I know him well. But he hates me. And it's because I criticized him, even though I also rooted on those wars back when they were actually happening. But I'm not going to mention that part. And Trump, he's just a kind spirit. He's a kind spirit, really. The way that he calls people vermin. It's humanizing, really, because it's the spirit of a vermin. A vermin? I think vermin might be plural. Obviously, which is true, is the encapsulation of... So with that being said, Trump then got asked about this and made a comment about Tucker Carlson being fired from Fox News.
They've been talking about this deal for 6 years, right?
6 years.
and he's done what they haven't been able to do. So he's done really a very good job.
In response to Tucker Carlson criticizing you, saying that you're
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen. Thank you.
He said, let him go get a television network so the people listen. Now, take everything that's being said by any of these folks that we're talking about with a grain of salt because of who they are and all of that. But if this pressure can lead to Trump being more mindful about us directly involving ourselves, then it could have a positive resolution. I should note, though, just remember, the Tuckers of the world and the Marjories of the world are the same people. So this is what makes me hesitant about analysis of them. Same people who say that supporting Ukraine or any act on the world stage, I don't know, USAID, everything in their mind is some push by Democrats, usually, now they're applying to Trump, but towards World War III. And so that's why I've been mindful of the World War III language, because I've seen it used so dishonestly so frequently. But when you have all-out war between Israel and Iran, and you hear that it's on the table for the U.S. to start engaging in strikes against Iran, then you understand, oh, wow, we really are on the precipice of something huge and frightening. And a part of this is really upsetting because some of these MAGAs now are going, wait, what if we got a nuclear deal with Iran and it sort of accomplishes what we all want, which is them not to have nuclear weapons, and the ideology of the Iranian regime, just to be clear, unlike some of the people making the argument of let's do what we can to negotiate a peaceful resolution, etc., we should be very clear and stark in our language about, indeed, it is especially frightening with Iran, the idea of them having a nuclear weapon. So that's real. But for them to now be going, what if like there's a deal and it doesn't require us to go to war with them, but it prevents them from getting nuclear weapons or developing nuclear weapons? That would be really like a really cool idea. Those same people, though, weren't critical when Trump was getting out of the nuclear agreement that we had with Iran that Obama had secured. So that should be noted as well. Then a notable development here as Trump is at this G7 summit. CNN reports President Donald Trump does not intend to sign a joint statement calling for de-escalation between Israel and Iran that had been drafted by G7 leaders in Canada. According to a person familiar with the matter, though officials preparing the document held out hope that he could eventually be convinced to add his name. The draft statement, which has been spearheaded by European officials at the summit, says Israel has a right to defend itself and that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. Trump's decision not to sign on the statement set up an immediate divide with his counterparts as the summit was getting underway in the Canadian Rockies. This even led to Dave Smith, the comedian and commentator who supported Trump, calling for his impeachment and removal.
Where they probably don't feel that they have the option not to respond. And Donald Trump telling them to come back to the negotiating table now is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, what a impotent leader to be sitting there talking about coming back to the negotiating table. It's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese. Right. Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before.
I don't think that's a perfect analogy, to be honest.
For this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one. Wow. And not on some not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of, corrupt hacks.
This is the one thing they support. This is
Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for. And I will say, despite the fact that, Donald Trump supporters have been labeled like a cult following, and that certainly is true for a percentage of his supporters, he is going to lose his coalition over this. I don't just speak for myself when I say there are a lot of us who simply will not go along with this. So it's just a devastating mistake. By the way, on top of that, he's also going to lose the deportation fight because of this. Because right now he needed all the political capital he could have to turn that, you got.
Yeah, so the inner MAGA chaos here is real. I will just note, I think we need to let go a little bit of the reduced analysis of just anyone who's supporting an approach to this issue that's different than what I believe or what you believe or what they believe, that necessarily they are just salivating for war all the time, no matter what, because that has been so broadened to everything. Like I gave you the Ukraine example. Whenever we gave aid to Ukraine, something I very much supported, the same people would be saying, oh, it's just because people really, 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 really want to go to war all the time. And that misses, and it doesn't provide a really thoughtful refutation of the argument being made from people you disagree with. So add a little bit more context and nuance, I think. But it is fascinating to see the people who supported Trump realize that no, the way he spoke about these issues too, I just wish they would also reanalyze some of his stances on other issues, because that's how we knew he wasn't going to be the great peacemaker. When they had this idea, this romanticized idea of his first term and how there was just peace brought to the world, and we would dive into each one of those issues and talk about the foreign policy and say, trust me, this next term, it's not going to be the idea that you have in your head. They didn't believe us. And again, why I'm hesitant, I'm not throwing around the warmongering phrase all the time. We were called warmongers for saying Trump's not going to be a peacemaker. And so them having that collective realization kind of is fascinating. And hopefully we don't keep barreling towards what could be a pretty catastrophic situation. Share your thoughts in the comments.